What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about Miracle Tree's Moringa Organic Superfood Tea with strawberry, and also the balance of chivalry and being a gentleman. Those two totally go together, and this is going to be a perfect video. But first, let's start with the tea. All right. So, this tea I picked up in, I think it was TJ Maxx, and it seemed interesting to me. Moringa is really good for you. It's I have it written down here because I couldn't remember all of it, but it's got plenty of antioxidants in it. This particular one has vitamin A, C, B1, calcium, and fiber. This one also happens to be organic. And this one also talks about it has amino acids in it. So it's really a really good tea. And I guess Moringa is pretty much like the kale of tea. It's a really good ingredient, and it has a very distinct taste. And the taste by itself is pretty nice, but the strawberry really kind of helps give it sort of that tea you have in the morning kind of taste to it. I hear there's a mango one as well, and I'm actually really hope to find that one pretty soon. I might have to get it online, but for now we have the strawberry one, and let's take a first sip at it, even though I've had this before and I just don't remember exactly what it tastes like. So this tea is really good, I have to say. I guess you have to like Moringa first of all in order to enjoy this tea. But I mean, the Moringa is really the strongest flavor in the tea as well. It's the one that lasts the longest. It's what first hits you, your taste buds. The strawberry comes in like, at least for me, comes in like a second later, and it's really good. It's not the most, I guess, natural, even though it is flavored naturally, as I read on there. That is actually just the two ingredients, the moringa and the natural flavors of the strawberry, I guess. I don't know if there's anything else. It's really the only thing you taste, and I guess this because it's the only two ingredients. It's got sort of this, it does sort of fill out your mouth, at least with sugar in there. I don't know how this will taste with honey, but I imagine it's really good as well. But it's just a really nice, it really has this sort of taste that like almost like a filling taste. Like it feels very full, like it's not very thin like how my last tea sort of was very light. This one sort of fills out your mouth, and it's just a really good tea. It's really healthy for you. I definitely suggest you try it out for yourselves. It's a really good tea. All right. Well, now we've talked about the tea, I'd like to transition into talking about our first real topic, the chivalry. I didn't want to just talk about chivalry itself, but I mean, it's chivalry. It's very important, and it's something that most guys should do. But I wanted to kind of take a sort of look at it and how it, and I guess more of how it can be perceived in a way. We're keeping it relatively light, and I am not an expert on chivalry. This is literally something I put together in a little bit after some experience I had, and it just seemed like the right thing to talk about. So, in my personal like experiences, I try my best to be a gentleman as much as I can, and but I have no problems with holding doors, and the very stereotypical here, take my jacket, I will be cold for the rest of this walk. But or I one thing I like to do is make sure, like, try to remember to when a lady comes in, like, either to sit with you, stand and try to sit down. Though that one could be perceived. Well, before we get into that, just I like doing little things like that. I think it can be a really sweet gesture, and it's not necessarily to get something out of the act, but it's just a really nice thing I think that you can do. And I don't know if that's something. It's important to me. I don't necessarily think it's something that was drilled heavily by my parents. I did grow up with one sister, and they were like, "You don't ever hit your sister." We used to fight a lot, and that was one thing they had definitely hardwired into me. But not necessarily to go above and beyond. It's just something that I felt was the right thing to do. I have no problems doing that. But as of late, as I get older, I've noticed that, and you guys can tell me if you've noticed this too. It seems like the perception of what's okay for what you can do to be chivalrous has changed a little bit. I mean, well, at least if you don't want to be perceived as being like what's the being like overboard, or being overbearing, or even seen as creepy. There's almost like a limit, and the hard part is that that limit is different generationally, generationally, and from person to person. Some people, I feel like some people, so at least some guys don't go above and beyond. I mean, some of them don't do it just because they don't want to and they don't feel like they should do it. But sometimes guys don't do certain things because they feel like there are some girls that if you kind of do too much, it can be perceived as it's coming off to them as that you, as the guy, think that they're the who you're trying to help, whatever women it happens to be, as you're thinking of them as like weak and unable to take care of themselves or do anything. And I kind of get that. And so because of that, some guys are a little standoffish, including myself, about doing too much. And on the other hand, when guys don't do the extra above and beyond, they just try to kind of keep it subdued a little bit. Some girls feel like, man, I mean, does he like even really care? He doesn't seem to. He's not a gentleman at all. He's just a jerk that doesn't want to do any of this extra stuff. And of course, it differences how people feel about chivalry comes from your parents, or just the how the people you've been with in the past. Some girls like you to go above and beyond. They want you to throw the jacket over the puddle so they can walk over it and avoid it on the curb, or but some will like don't even want you to open the door for them. So it's hard for some guys to understand, like, where should I be, at least until you've gotten to know that person a little bit better. It's harder to, for just someone you're out of the blue, it's always hard to know how much you should go into it. I guess a best way to do that would be to give an example. Okay, say you see a girl and she's carrying something, and it's not something especially heavy, but it's not something especially light either. It's definitely something they could handle, but it's at that point where, I mean, some people would be like, "Yo, you should help out that young lady. It'll be a good gesture for you," type of thing. It's one of those things where you could very easily carry that for her, and it would be seen as a nice gesture to some. But sometimes, depending on who it is, they could be like, "Oh, that's really sweet." It was just like, "Oh, thank you for carrying this." Or they could, if you do happen to offer your help, like, "Hey, you want me to carry that for you?" Sure, that's fine, no problem with that. But sometimes some guys have been burned by that and be like, no, I'm okay, I can carry that, which is fine as well too. But and then some, I guess the real burn is like when they're like, well, you don't think I can carry this on my own? I got it. It's all right. And it's almost like, so it creates that it creates that little like, oh shoot, what am I supposed to do in this situation type of thing, and it causes me to hesitate and be like, oh, what do I do? Do I carry this or do I not? Sometimes you just try to find that middle ground of like, hey, do you need any more of those? I could carry some, or you try to take half of it to just try to even it out type of thing. And it's really hard to determine. Sometimes you just gotta go for it, but that balance is really hard to achieve when you don't know someone. And sometimes you just gotta take it. You just go with it, do what you. I think essentially coming to a solution. I wasn't planning to. I was planning to leave this open, but I guess sometimes you just gotta go with what you think. Like, essentially, just be yourself and be your own gentleman. If you feel like you should do something like that and help someone out to go above and beyond, or you feel like you should hold back, just do you. You don't have to. I guess you don't have to be a gentleman, or well, you should be a gentleman, but you don't have to do every little thing in order to come across as a gentleman. Some people like little things, but and not for you to go above and beyond. But some people want, you got to everyone has different criteria, and you're not gonna please everyone. So you just got to do what you think you can do. If something you hear I remember someone once was like, I had never even considered this before, walking like on the side of the street close to the cars. I remember that had really stuck out an impression with me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna start doing that. And you do what you think is right, and someone, if you're really if you are trying to go for a girl by acting like a gentleman, if they like it, they'll respond to it. If they don't like it, you just pull back a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be as big of a deal as as it seems. Just do what you can and do what feels right. And just try to adapt to the situations that you come across. I don't really know. That seemed like a ramble, but I know you guys can tell me what you think. What do you think you should What is there a limit to how much of a gentleman you should be? Or do you have to take it by every situation, or do you should just be like, man, ain't no one got time for these girls, or something like that? But what do you guys think? But that's the video. That's the tea. Be sure to try it for yourself. Hopefully it's still hot. It's actually a great temperature now. But it's really good. And tell me what you think. And if you guys got a topic for me to talk about, I'll do my best to cover it. All right. That's it.